Ian.
Yes, Dave.
So tonight, Ian, I'm Dave, you're Ian. This is the Apex Adjacent podcast.
Just tonight, you're Dave, I'm Ian. Correct.
Just for tonight. After that, we'll switch it up, okay?
Yeah.
I'll grow a whole bunch more body hair, and you'll get.
By the way, if any listeners can hook us up with a face-off situation, we think it'd be good for the show. Maybe.
Right?
Just for an episode.
Yeah, smash cut to like Ike and Donnie coming at us with two sawzalls. Like, we got this. All right. So Ian, welcome to the show. Welcome everyone listening. We're and watching. We're very thankful that you're here because tonight's going to be a little bit of a different episode. So we don't have.
Would you say that it's a very special episode?
It is.
Are we going to learn a lesson?
Yes, about why we shouldn't let that guy take photographs of us in the bicycle shop. Call back to Different Strokes. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about two things. So our beloved token track driver Ian here has been doing some of the driver things, right? Mm-hmm. In addition to that, we also have the first press car that we've actually had for a week for quite some time. So in this episode, you're not going to get a license plate game. You're not going to get an FMK cars. You're not going to get, the normal kind of tomfoolery that we do. We're going to do a little bit of storytelling, and we're going to have some fun. And we're going to talk about this very interesting Toyota RAV4 that we've had for a week, right?
Yes.
Right? Okay. So let's set the stage here. So Ian, you rented a seat in the 24 Hours of Lemons race out at High Plains Raceway, right?
Yes. And this is their true 24-hour race they have on the calendar every year out at High Plains, called High Plains Drifter. And it is, it gets dark out there. It is not a lit track.
Right.
So, yeah, it was my first ever 24-hour race.
Right. It was a big experience, right?
Yes.
On top of that, like, you did some racing in Oklahoma, but like before that, like, it was a pretty big drought of track driving for you, of race driving, wheel-to-wheel race driving, right?
Yeah.
You had the track day where I blew up my Vigan. You had an Oklahoma race, and now this, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it had been a while. And, I got lucky with this team because they were like, it's a cool team of like rally drivers, and then a guy who has raced Lemons for years and has put lots of different cars together and stuff like that. And they were working on this truck, trying to get this Chevy S10 with a V8 to work. And after when I first heard that, I was like, oh, this thing is gonna rip. It's gonna be awesome. It's going to be so much fun. And it was, but I learned a lot more about the history of the truck, like kind of slowly as the experience progressed. But like, I tried to go and help out before the race and stuff with the truck, and I got to test a little bit with them, which I'll say I think I really enjoyed testing race cars.
Okay.
Yeah, I might enjoy testing race cars more than I like racing race cars a little bit.
Okay.
It was really fun to like, get in a new car, drive it, and, at like shakedown pace, not pushing crazy hard or anything, and just being like, these are the things I like about it, these are the things I don't like about it, and then, making adjustments. It was cool.
That's really interesting. Okay. Yeah. I could see myself enjoying the shakedown stuff more than the actual track driving or race driving. Yeah. Right. That's really interesting. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the racing was a lot of fun too.
Sure. Yeah. And similarly, while you were doing that, I took delivery of our 2021 Toyota. Okay. Let's read this name because it's. Yeah. Should we say it together?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. 2021 Toyota RAV4 Optimus Prime, XSE AWD SUV. The VIN is J.
It's a hybrid.
Yes. So it is
plug-in hybrid.
Yes, plug-in hybrid, very red vehicle.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can pull up a picture here. And yeah, so it's it was the first one that we've had in a while. Let me share my screen here. Not something that you and I would normally gravitate towards, but I think that like in reference to what we're going to be talking about this evening, I think it's appropriate and interesting, right?
Yeah, and so we got the opportunity to get on the schedule for some press cars and stuff, and this was one of them, and I was excited because I thought like, oh, this is the least lemonsy car I can think of.
Right. It's dovetailing with this event in your life, right?
Yeah, and it coincided with the Lemons event, and I was like, okay, there's no less lemonsy car than a RAV4.
Right. So for anyone who doesn't know, kind of describe why that is. Let's.
Well, 24 Hours of Lemons. If you listen to our episode a week ago, 2 weeks ago,
during that episode, we never said what Lemons was.
Oh, 24 Hours of Lemons is basically like cheap racing, right? It's cheap endurance racing. So the idea is you start with a $500 car and you race it in an endurance style like Le Mans, right? But it's a lemon because it's a lemons, blah, 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 right? And you get like crazy themes, and it's lots of personality and lots of humor and all the things that you don't associate with like kind of a boring crossover.
A lot of like last minute fixes, baling wire and duct tape, chewing gum.
Aplenty.
Yes, right. Like, yeah, just barely getting by, I think is kind of right. Like just good enough to get out there and turn laps.
Yes. And that is not, that's not Toyota RAV4. The Toyota RAV4 is sensible, and that is the end of the the descriptors for it. Well, sensible.
It is, and I think that we have plenty more to say about it. But yeah, but you're exactly right. Like when it comes to like Lemons is typically very chaotic, right? Like there's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of stuff going on, and with the Toyota RAV4, there's absolutely no chaos whatsoever, right? It's completely removed.
Right. And I think when I first realized that this was going to happen, my initial thought was this will be really funny to like bring a not very lemonsy car to a Lemons event. And then as we got closer, and as like the reality of like finding a place to sleep and finding a place to just change into my racing suit and out of my racing suit
and having to drive an hour and a half out there and back. Yeah.
And all that stuff. And then realizing I was going to have to do a work call while I was out there. As all of that stuff started coming, I realized like my car, see over my shoulder for anyone who's only listening. Also a little bit lemonsy. Not really an oasis of calm, right? It's not a spa day in my car.
Right. Great point. Right.
And so like as we got into the weekend, I kind of like I let the norminess of the RAV4 sort of wash over me.
Okay.
And just let the cooled seats like hold me. And I didn't care really that it was a car that I would not normally buy or not normally be interested in. And it like allowed me to actually realize like, oh, it's probably the best driving one of these I've ever driven, like
right.
It kind of like brought my guard down, because normally I think with a small crossover I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
Just immediately.
Yeah, our hackles get up a little bit unless it's something like really interesting, like say like the Volvo XC40, right? Where it's like
We didn't like that one though.
we didn't, but at least like we were like we were shoving each other out of the way to give it a try, right?
Right.
Yeah, we were doing that thing where we both try to go through the door at the same time.
Right.
But yeah, and honestly, I've never driven a Toyota RAV4 before this. Yeah,
I've driven a few generations of them before.
Okay. I've ridden in a first gen, but that was it. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're fine.
Well, yeah, they set out to do a thing, right? Like it's in this vein of Honda CR-V, like it's like uber capable, and yet not as it doesn't posture as much as something like a Dodge Journey, right? Because like you put your kids in the back of this thing, right? And I would assume it was a lot easier than it was in a Dodge Journey, right? The Dodge Journey is kind of like you said, like, you're a big, strong man. You don't have to have a minivan. And like, the RAV4 is like, no, you have a crossover. It's going to do crossover things all the time. Right.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing about it was the plug-in hybrid part of it.
Okay.
Like that part of it really, because like RAV4 and CR-V and those, like they basically invented this like small crossover sort of genre, right? And they've always been honestly pretty terrible to drive, but the plug-in hybrid thing makes it make more sense for someone like me who lives like in a city or something like that, downtown, because honestly, it only has like 40 miles of range, I think, on the battery.
Okay.
But it was really nice to just like do the school run in complete EV mode.
Right.
Like that sort of thing.
Right.
I would rather it was a station wagon still.
Sure.
But that's not a thing that's available.
Right. So you have to take a 6-inch higher station wagon.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. It was nice, and it fucking scoots, man.
It does. It motors along, right? Like I think from a stoplight, we really like how it takes off. The like highway on-ramp merging power is weapons grade good. Like, like I scared myself on the way home, passing and coming up on somebody too quick. Like it moves, man. It'll kind of go out from under you,
Yeah. So that the power is good, the utility is good,
right?
And much better with both of those things are much better given the hybrid nature of it.
Right. Whereas like, oh, go ahead. I
was going to say because I was going to move on to the things that I didn't think are very good.
Sure. Yeah. Like, and just to kind of round that out, I think that like that's one thing like where you would want to make a compromise in an area in order to move the needle in one specific area from good to great. Right.
Yeah.
You'll take a concession from somewhere else in the vehicles, like ground clearance, for example, right?
What?
Yeah, you'll take a compromising ground clearance and then also cat theft proof your car yourself because nobody can get anything underneath it, let alone a floor jack, right? But yeah, to move that to great. Whereas like the RAV4 is just kind of all around good, right? Like, and it's perfectly fine with the needle like in that area, right? It's not going to move that chart outside of that, and it's fine, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll say like I think if driving dynamics are important to you, then I think like some of the other things we've driven in this segment are better, like the Mazdas or the Kia Hyundais.
Right.
Like if handling and that sort of stuff is more important, then there are other options as well. The big thing though, I think,
Yeah.
that we need to get to, right?
Yeah. Let's just break the seal on the bad news, right?
Right. It's $50,000 as it sits, as the one that we drove.
So the one that we drove has a few options. It's got a special paint color that's I think
So the
$425.
This prime hybrid that we drove starts at $41,000.
Right.
So that's the first thing. And then there's about basically a total of $7,500, $8,000, something like that in options.
Right. The premium package sets you almost back $4,000. 10-inch color heads-up display. Like the resolution on the screen could have been better. I did like the matte finish because they really nailed the non-reflective stuff. I'm sure the kids loved the big panoramic roof.
They did. They were actually they really liked the video.
The video rear view mirror. Yeah, let's talk about that.
The video rear view mirror is really good, and it's funny because you mentioned like how bad the resolution is on the infotainment screen. It's way better on the camera. You can like zoom in and stuff and move the camera around. It's really cool. Really cool to play with, and I thought it was going to be distracting.
Yeah.
The only thing that is weird about it is like I'm used to, and it's something that you would get used to, but I caught myself like, especially when I had the kids in the back, you know, I would pop up to try to see the kids in the mirror.
But it's just a video screen. Yeah.
There's a video screen, so it doesn't change when you move.
Right.
So that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But it's great, and it had the top-down like parking assistant.
Yeah, we call that the drone view, like the drone view of the parking. Yeah.
Right. All that is great. The infotainment system is terrible, as it has been in Toyotas for a while.
Right. At least it finally has CarPlay, and some Lexus features are moving into this segment finally, like the adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, the brake hold. That's a big one for me because I'm very lazy, and my 2008 Lexus has me very spoiled. I don't like keeping my foot on a brake pedal at a stoplight. I turn like muscle memory turn on the brake hold every time I get in that car.
I didn't. Does this one have?
It does. It has brake hold.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That is one of Dave's most sought after features now. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Just let my fidgety legs do their thing at a stoplight.
Yeah. I did use the adaptive cruise control and the lane keep stuff. It did great.
Okay.
I think it's actually maybe a little bit better on the adaptive cruise control than my Volkswagen is.
Oh, okay.
The other ones I've tested, like it didn't like
Rubber
the lane
band.
keep. The lane keep is still like it ping pongs.
Yeah.
You know? Like it's still not great, but it doesn't rubber band as much when somebody like pulls in front of you and then pulls away. That's like the big thing that always confuses those systems. It just kind of like pulls along, which is great. Partly, I think, because of the instant, electric motor response, which is awesome. So that stuff is great. I think the other thing that's not great is the harshness from the engine. Like when the gas engine is running, is pretty bad. Like especially if you're in charge mode and it revs more to to charge.
Yeah.
I think that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make because charge mode is so nice.
It is.
So basically, on the way to the track on Friday. So Friday we had So Friday we had like a prep day, right?
Yeah. And let's talk prep. Yeah.
Registration and practice getting in and out of the truck and getting all that, getting the truck finished running and making some final stuff on it, getting the pit set up, all that stuff. I knew I was going to have to do a work call like halfway through the day.
Okay.
And I knew it was going to be hot as balls. So I put it in charge mode to charge the battery back up because you only get like 40 miles of range. So I got basically onto the highway with electric motors, and then I put it in charge mode, which basically means that like it ramps up the regen whenever you lift off the throttle,
Right.
and then it also uses the gas engine more to charge the batteries.
Okay.
Because my thought was it'd be nice to be able to just run the air conditioner off the batteries while I'm at the track, and then also be able to use like there's a 120 volt plug in the back.
Yeah.
And I had to do a work call, like a Zoom call, like with my laptop. So I had that thing plugged in. There was Wi-Fi at the track. So I just was like in an air-conditioned box that's pretty quiet inside. And I don't think anyone on the call could hear that I was at a racetrack.
Okay.
So yeah, this is me. You can see my cord running into the back there.
Yeah.
To use the plug.
Your power cord back there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just like hung out in the RAV4 doing my work call with the air conditioner blasting. It was great.
Nice. Okay. You had like a little mobile office.
Yeah, I got lots of brake fluid and grease on my laptop. Is what you want.
Usually, yes. So stand up very well to those things. Yes.
So yeah, that was Friday, and then I went home on Friday and then got ready for the race.
Okay.
Saturday, which ran from noon to noon, Saturday to Sunday.
Yeah. So talk me through your at home like race preparation. Like, what'd you do at the house? What'd you load up in the car? Give me the whole prep. Morning of Rocky theme is playing in your head, like, kind of feel.
Well, first things first. I did injure myself this weekend, and it's a very
Ian,
me injury. Can I say what I did?
Yeah. Okay. All right. What'd you do?
So during race prep, I nicked my finger on my pastry knife making scones for the team. That was the only injury I sustained during my racing.
No, you did not.
I did.
You did not. Oh, my God.
Exactly what happened.
You dainty little British boy.
So here's what happened.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Is that when you're making scones,
I can't handle you.
Whenever you're making pastries of any sort, temperature management is key.
Oh boy.
You gotta manage the temperatures. You
can't let the butter bleed out. Yeah, okay.
See?
Yeah, I know. I watched enough Great British Bake Off to know what's going on. We call it cake and bacon in our house.
Yeah, so I was gonna cut the butter in. And so what I usually do is I cut up the butter and I stick it in the freezer for a little bit. So that way I get a little extra time to work with it.
Very important. Time is key.
Right? You get a little extra time to keep it cooler. And I screwed up and I forgot I was doubling the recipe. I was doubling my bacon cheddar chive scone recipe. And what?
I know what the Lemons team wants.
Scones.
Well, it's a food you can eat on the go. So honestly, like,
you know what?
if you're out at a race, I'm sure they were fantastic. If you're out at a racetrack, I would kill for one of those.
Yeah, I brought two types of scones. I brought bacon cheddar chive scones, and then I brought some of my. I think I've made these for you before. My raspberry, with the orange zest and the ginger and the chocolate.
Yep. Yeah, those are very good. Yeah, you're a good little baker boy. Yeah.
You know what? The racers are fancy lads.
They are. Yep. Hey, anyway, I bring an espresso machine, so together we make a complete pair.
I brought an AeroPress and a hand crank.
Hell yeah.
Grinder. Yeah. So yeah, I brought the scones, but I was making the scones and I had left the butter in the freezer too long, and it was really hard, and I went like that, and it kind of like jerked, and I jerked it up, and I cut my little fingy, Dave.
Let me see. Let me see. Here, I'll kiss it for you. Mwah. There you go.
Thank you. Yeah. So that was my racing injury. Was scraping my finger. Oh man, making scones.
You're a whole thing, and I'm here for it. I love you, buddy. I really do. Yeah. I think today or tomorrow might be the 6th anniversary of our podcast. This is a great way to celebrate it. Mm-hmm. Ian Ianing it up.
Oh, for 100%.
Yep.
And then I also brought 6 things of LaCroix because
right.
And
Heaven forbid you drink still.
Right. One of the people were like, "What is this? Sparkling water?" And I went, "Oh yeah." And I just popped my pinky. Kept drinking my fancy lad water.
Nice.
Anyway, so yeah, so I basically I brought a sleeping bag and my phones and my little inflatable backpacking sleeping pad thing.
Okay.
And a pillow and a change of clothes.
Okay. And all the race stuff, right?
And all the race stuff and sunscreen and some snacks and a cooler and that sort of stuff.
Fireproof underpants, right?
Yes. Oh, and I brought a wagon, which was very
those are clutch.
Very clutch. Yes, and it turned out to be very clutch because they didn't have one, and so that was the only way we were able to transport fuel jugs around the paddock, which turned out to be a really important thing.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Some kind of wheeled transport is very important.
Mm-hmm. Because so you did the Chump Car race with us, and in Chump Car you get a permanent hot pit spot.
Yes.
And Lemons isn't like that. Lemons, you cannot do anything in the hot pit other than fuel and do driver change.
Okay.
And so the hot pit is a ephemeral.
Right. Okay. You don't have a dedicated space.
No, there's just a little bit of hot pit space, and then everything else happens back at your paddock spot.
Okay.
So you have to move fuel back and forth.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's kind of a pain. But so that the wagon became pretty important.
Sure.
To move stuff around.
What'd you do to prep the RAV4? Did you charge it up overnight?
I did. I charged it and then ran it in charge mode for the last half of the drive out to the track.
Okay.
They ran out of brake clean, so I had to stop at a Home Depot and grab some brake clean and some other random stuff. And then got there. We went through tech the day. We went through tech on Friday.
Okay.
And they were like, "We've seen this car before. 0 laps, Class C," which is the lowest. Okay. Lowest class, no penalty laps.
Okay.
So
which is really interesting because this truck is a Chevy S10, a nice small little mini truck, right? Mm-hmm. This was a million people in Missouri's first car, and some would say dream car, right?
Yeah. I think it's technically a Sonoma.
Oh, okay. GMC Sonoma. Okay. All right.
But same thing.
Exactly, right? And so this is LS swapped. It's
not LS. I think it's a Vortec engine. It's an old Tahoe engine.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, it's a junkyard Tahoe engine.
Sure.
Pre-LS.
Gotcha. So on paper, you would think little truck, big V8, minimum moving parts, this should be a pretty solid winning formula, right? Mm-hmm. And on top of that, like you said, this thing should rip, right? And then they class it the lowest class and don't give you any penalty laps.
Right. And we were like, "Oh, did we get away with something there?" And then the race kind of started, and we were really competitive in the beginning. We were running. We had I think by the end of the race, we had one driver that was very, very fast. Yeah,
I watched. Yeah, you guys streamed I think 2 6 or 8 hour sessions on YouTube. Yeah, and we'll put those links in the description of this show.
I don't know. I think they were unlisted, so I don't think they were still around. But I think they were streaming only. I don't think they were actually recorded.
I did go back and watch one of them. So yeah.
Well, okay.
If you stream to YouTube, it stays up there. Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there were 5 drivers. I was the slow driver of the group, but we had Scott, who is He used to drive Indy Lights and
Oh, wow. Okay.
is like a legit like driver.
Yeah.
He was crazy fast.
I watched some of his times. He threw that thing around.
Yeah. He's very smooth, very fast, very
Great in traffic.
great in traffic. Like, yeah, so good. He ran, I think his fastest time was like a 2:19.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is quick.
My wife and I were watching some of those. We dipped in and we watched some of your sessions as well. She was yelling at other cars for you. She got very upset at a yellow car. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was not as fast as him. He's so fast. So he did a 2:19, and here's the thing: is that like that was on Saturday.
Right.
The truck we drove on Saturday is not the truck we finished with on Sunday. I drove 3 times,
Okay.
and I was telling Brian, the team owner, and he agreed with me that like I drove 3 different race cars.
Okay. All right.
Like it was so different from each stint had something totally different happening, right?
Okay.
The truck ran great on Saturday, and through the heat and all of that.
Yeah, I think you guys saw 100-degree temperatures out there.
Yeah, it was about 100 degrees. I was in during like the hottest part of the day. They didn't run a cool suit.
Why did you not run a cool suit?
I don't think they just didn't have time. Like they was
What?
just, they didn't have time or money to do it. It was hot. I was like sticking my hand out the window
To direct air in.
to try to get some air in on the straights. It was hot, and the tires were greasy, and it was so it was challenging from that respect, but it was a lot of fun because it was one of the better feeling stints that I've ever had in a car, because it was like it was working.
Right.
And it was a track that I know like really well.
Yeah.
And I had driven the truck before in testing or whatever, and it's not like it's so neutral and forgiving. Like,
Okay.
I really thought it was going to be super pointy, because it was going to be super light in the back.
Right.
But the amount of traction this thing has out of corners is crazy.
Interesting.
So like,
okay.
yeah, it's so neutral. So you can like, if it starts to understeer, you just kind of put your foot down, and it just pushes you out.
Okay.
You can just lean on the traction and go. It's really nice, and I'm still like not near the limit on a lot of, especially the faster corners, which really hurts my lap time.
Sure.
Yeah, no, it's great. When it's working, it's so much fun.
Okay.
It handled totally differently than I thought it was going to.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because you like on paper you would think it's gonna be a handful, right?
Right. Yeah. Right. Little truck, big V8.
Yeah, tons of torque.
Yeah.
No weight in the rear, but it was great.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
That was the truck that you drove during your first stint.
Yeah. And
Right.
then during the second stint, in the middle of the night, is when it really kind of started to go bad.
Give me a time frame. What time was this stint around?
I drove first in the afternoon, like 3 to
Right.
like 3:30 to 5-ish or something.
Okay, so I think you were the third driver, right?
Yes.
Because a normal stint for anybody who doesn't know is about 2 hours. They cap it at 2 hours for the drivers, right?
Yeah, and that was one of the things that, like, it was a new fuel tank, new fuel system. We were really trying to understand how much fuel we had. And
Sure.
I thought it had missed a couple of times. So
okay. Yeah.
And it turned out I had a lot more running left. I could have stayed out.
Okay.
And that was just us like figuring out the stint lengths.
Sure.
We didn't know if we could go a full 2 hours or not. And it turned out like, sort of, we could go 2 hours.
Okay.
And then I drove again at like 2 o'clock in the morning or something like that. And it was obviously a lot cooler out, so it
Right.
a little more grip and all that sort of stuff, but it's dark.
But you're driving a race car on a non-lit track at night.
Yeah. Which, it really, like, you kind of get into a rhythm, and it's not we had the headlights more dialed than during the test day. So like,
Okay.
it was more comfortable. And honestly, like, being around traffic was almost better because you have more
other light sources. Yeah. And there was probably a good, like, just the right amount of attrition in the field, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't have that initial crowded traffic from the start, right?
Right.
Some cars have dropped off, right?
Right. And there was like a handful of people who just like parked their cars at night and didn't feel like driving at night.
Oh, wow.
Sort of
Okay. Okay.
So I was kind of pounding around, but the big thing that happened then was that we didn't have any comms. We had no radio during my stint.
Really? Okay.
And during my stint is when we started to lose power. We were losing power the 2 or 3 stints before that. Even at the end of my first stint, we were starting to lose power noticeably. But during my second stint, it was really noticeable. And then I started to notice that the oil pressure was dropping.
Oh, okay.
And I had no way to communicate.
Right.
And it's not my truck.
Right.
It's not my car. So I basically, like, it was slowly kind of dropping under full load. Like, it started out around, 55, 60 pounds, and then was under full load, like slowly dropping. And it was then, and every straight, it would get the valley of where it would drop to would get lower and lower.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, as soon as it dropped below 40 pounds, I'm going in.
Right.
That was the deal I made with myself.
Right.
So that got me like another like 20 or 30 minutes. And then I went in, and they were surprised to see me.
Yeah.
And like the team owner was in bed, and like, he was taking a nap, and then we spent a lot of time like trying to get the comms working and all this other stuff. And eventually we were just like, we just got to go. We've got to get back out.
Got to keep turning laps. Yeah.
And so we didn't ever really resolve that issue. We just were monitoring oil level and all that other stuff. And eventually it was just like, we have to turn laps, and as many laps as we can until this thing breaks.
Okay.
So I think what they landed on was that the oil was just like staying up in the head. It was getting trapped there, and that was the big issue, and that's why it was happening under like full load.
Right.
Down the straights, but we were, losing power. Like, we had, so remember Scott, he drove 2 longer stints. So he drove that first stint where he got that like 219.
Right.
And then by the end of the race, he was the driver that finished us out. He was getting 237s.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like, in the 230 ranges.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Bad, It was nearly undrivable by the last stint by Sunday.
Real quick, before you hopped in at like, what did you say, like 1 a.m., 2 a.m.?
Yeah, 1 or 2 a.m., something like that.
Did you get any sleep before that?
I did. So I went back to the RAV4 and then like put it in EV mode and turn on the climate control. And yeah, I slept in the back there. That was my little setup, drying out my very sweaty race suit.
Okay. So you folded the rear seats down in the RAV4, right?
Yeah. Folded the seats down, spread all my stinky stuff out, and then laid down and got some sleep.
Okay.
It took me a little while to fall asleep, but then I slept in there for like 2.5 hours, 3 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was It was nice. The only bad thing is like it thought like somebody had left the car on, so it beeped at me after the first hour. It was like, "Are you sure?
Okay.
You want
Yeah.
to keep it on?" So I had to go like put it back on.
Right. It's not like an 18-wheeler or like a big diesel truck that's just made to high idle like forever.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, it was just running off the battery. So it just ran the climate control off the battery,
Okay.
which was perfect.
Right.
And I will say I'm probably like the tallest you could be for this to be comfortable.
I was going to ask, like in some cars, I know like that rear seat will fold down so that you can put your head on the center console to get that like extra like 8 inches of space in between the front two seats.
I don't think so because there was kind of a gap between.
Yeah.
I didn't play with that though. I could have maybe played with the headrest because there's a center headrest.
Okay. Okay.
I didn't really play with that because I fit.
Yeah.
Small.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
But yeah, it was more comfortable than I thought it was going to be, for sure. And it was so nice to have like an air conditioned place that I could go to, and it was like back in the spectator parking. So it wasn't like in the paddock.
Right.
And at first I was like bummed that I couldn't get a space in the paddock, but then I was like, you know what? It's actually nice.
Right.
I could just like walk away, be in my own little climate controlled
little sanctuary,
little world. Yeah. So yeah, they had to come wake me up.
Okay.
Because I slept longer than I had expected to.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a testament to the RAV4, like being able to isolate you from a freaking racetrack, right? Like what, 50, 60 cars turning laps?
Yeah. There were 69 cars.
And a million generators going on trackside, like all of that stuff happening. Yeah, it's not a quiet environment. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, it turned out perfect and that was exactly what it needed to be. Like, I think I wrote like it's in my normie oasis. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Okay. So you had your night stint. You had the truck losing power. Right. Then after that stint, after you were done with that, like what was going on then? Like where were you guys as far as standings go? What were your lap times like towards the end of that overnight stint? Yeah, give me the deets, man.
Yeah, the lap times during the overnight stint is like mid 230s, high 230s.
Right.
You know, because everyone's tired, there's traffic, and you're a little more you're like a little more cautious, and we were starting to have performance issues.
Right.
The thing that happened in the morning, the big thing that happened in the morning, like because I drove later than that because I drove into dawn.
Oh, wow. Okay. You were watching the sun come up, huh?
Maybe. I don't remember now. No, it was dark out. Because then I drove again right at dawn. So yeah, I drove probably at like 1 to like 3-ish.
Okay.
Almost 3. And then again after 6.
Okay.
And the morning stint was really, really tough because there was just a lot of things to manage, because not only were we having the power issues and they were getting worse with every stint. We had the clutch was slipping.
Oh no.
And the big thing was the rear brake caliper sprung a leak, and so we had no rear brakes.
Really? Okay.
There was just no rear brakes. So we would fill up the brake reservoir and it would just empty itself.
No. Oh, no.
So we had front brakes only.
Oh, my God.
Like no power.
Like a go-kart, right?
But the reverse.
Right. Yeah, the reverse. Yeah.
Yeah, so front brakes only. And it made it just like really unpredictable, right? So like you would have, so it just made it like every pedal use was an adventure.
Right.
You didn't know how much brakes or where you were going to have them, because sometimes the rear brakes would work and sometimes it wouldn't.
Yeah.
And then, you know, sometimes you lock the front brakes, and when that happened, you just understeer.
Right. Yeah, you're basically playing car handling slot machines at that point.
Right. And then when you step on the throttle, no idea how much power you're going to have.
Right.
Which means there's no predicting your braking zone.
Right.
Like your braking zones they're completely by feel, because you don't know how much brake you're going to have. And also you don't really know how fast you're going, because you don't know how well you did out of the last corner.
Right. So all of the rhythms that you had going into this stint were just completely off, right?
Yeah, completely gone.
Right.
And it's just managing, you know, trying to, because, you know, there was like magic throttle positions where it wouldn't miss so bad.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
And it wouldn't, and the oil pressure wouldn't drop. So you're like just one eye on the oil pressure, trying to find a throttle position.
Okay.
As you're getting to a braking zone, and then going like, I don't know what's gonna happen now. Whee!
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so it was really, really hard. And I also I could talk to the pit, but I couldn't hear them.
Yeah, they came back garbled to you, right?
No, I heard nothing.
Oh, okay. I could hear, like, on the YouTube stuff. I could hear. I think maybe.
Really?
Yeah, I think they came clear to you, but you were garbled to them. Something like that, as far as the streaming goes. But obviously, it was different in the car. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it was definitely challenging to like manage all that stuff, and then, you know, on top of it, we were running second or third in class.
Okay.
Out of there was like 20 some cars in C, and we were second or third pretty much the whole. We were second, third, or fourth the whole race.
Gotcha.
And we almost finished second in class, and then Scott was in the car. We had to fuel him really quickly, get it back out, and the team that was running third was 15 seconds a lap faster than us.
Whoa.
Because the performance had dropped off so badly.
Wow. Okay.
And they got us with maybe 3 or 4 laps to go.
Okay.
It was that close.
That's amazing. Over 24 hours.
Yeah.
Right?
It was so close for second or third place in the class. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's
so
awesome.
I think we ended up finishing like 13th overall.
Okay.
13th or 14th overall.
That's amazing. Like, it's a testament to like consistency, just staying out there, turning laps, like, right? Like focusing on that, like staying out, getting it done. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, the big news for us finishing though was that we got a judges award, and like the judges award.
Yeah, so tell people about this, because you were awarded the most prestigious Lemons Award. It is awarded at every race to a team. Yeah. It's called the Index of Fluency.
Yes.
Right?
So, yes. So we got awarded the Index of Fluency, and here's the patch that you get on top of our very ruined left tire.
Yeah. So it's a patch that shows oil spilling out of the O. Very appropriate, right?
Yeah, and it basically means like you did the most with the least. So you got the biggest pile of crap, the farthest. We had a volunteer come up to us. The volunteer was like at the pit exit. Who like checks your armband and checks your pause device and all that stuff. And she was like, every time you guys came past us, we were just like, oh, they're not going to make it. You know, because the truck sounded terrible.
Okay.
For like half the race, it was barely running. You know, we had to like keep revving it because it wouldn't idle, and it was running on 7-ish cylinders. Right. I mean, it was not in a good place, and it was pretty obvious to everybody. Right. And I think people also, you know, could see our lap times. Just like,
Just consistently trending down. Yeah.
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 So yeah, it was it was a shock that we got this because, like you said, on paper, it's a tiny truck with a big V8,
right,
and Corvette front brakes. That should be cheaty.
Right.
It is not.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I also look at how you finished that tire. Like that thing is seconds away from blowing out.
Yeah. I will say this is not me probably because I'm, like I said, I'm slow.
You were actively putting tread back onto the tire.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
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 You left it in comfort mode. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The thing and the fun thing too is that, like, I will say I'm very happy I didn't have any 4-offs, no black flags.
Right.
No incidents of any sort while I was driving. But the driver, the pro driver who was watching in the pits, because they had the video camera streaming in the car, which makes you really think, like, every time you make a mistake, like, oh, these guys
they're all watching.
They're all watching, and I know
and I'm watching.
I know for a fact that they're heckling me right now.
Right.
That's what we were all doing with the other drivers.
Right.
And it was like, it made it, there was a little more pressure, but he told me, like, that they were commenting that my lines were all very fast, but I just wasn't doing very fast lap times.
Okay.
So, like, it's the same story with me where, like, I'm smooth and accurate with my lines, but I just need to go faster.
Okay.
I need to brake less.
Yeah, you just need to stop being afraid, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Self-preservation's a real son of a bitch, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
A little bit.
It's a little bit easier to turn off on the go-kart track than it is in a pickup truck on a racetrack in the middle of the night.
For sure. I did notice one thing, though, that I feel like it was hard to quantify it, though, because the truck was running so poorly when I got back in. But after I got out of my stint, I watched one of the other drivers who had faster lap times than me, and I noticed that he was really he had a different line than I did, and I, like, really tend to square off my corners.
Okay.
That's just my style. Is like I tend to go deep, square it off, and drive through the corner instead of, like, kind of like taking more momentum through the corner. And he was taking a much more, like, shallower line, but carrying more speed.
Okay.
Just, like, using some understeer to kind of, like, get him out, to kind of scrub speed. And it was a lot faster with that truck. And I think it's, like, because I'm used to driving the all-wheel drive car.
Right.
You, like, square it off and you want to just use the traction to get out. But it was a lot faster. And I started doing that, like, especially, like, in turn 2 at High Plains and some of the other places where, in turn 8, where he was turning in a little earlier than me and making a more rounded line, and he was just a lot faster through there.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So that was really useful. That streaming telemetry stuff was really cool.
Nice. Yeah. That's great, man. There's your second place trophy.
Mm-hmm.
Index of Affluency Award.
Index of Affluency, not second place.
Not Index second place. Yeah, Index of Affluency, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
so
great,
Brian and Joe are the ones who, like, really put the car together, and they did amazing. And then it was like a real team effort and real, like, collaborative to, like, get it to the finish line of, like, they were really open to my dumb ideas about strategy, and I was sort of the one telling people to go to sleep. Okay,
good. Yeah. That's a role that suits you very well, like that kind of, like, comms director, like, like operational director. Yeah.
And because I'm not there was a lot of mechanical stuff that had to get done over the course of the weekend, and I'm not that much help with that. So, I could hold flashlights and do the thing that they tell me to do, but I'm not gonna like diagnose a problem.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was good that I kind of found a little bit of a spot in the team other than Scone Chef.
And mirror tinter. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, I tinted the shit out of those mirrors, Dave. Tinted the shit out of them.
I love it that they gave you arts and crafts projects. Yeah.
They did.
Right.
They did. Okay. So remember I told you they gave me the shroud to do?
I was going to say, I didn't see the shroud.
Yeah. So they gave me the shroud to do, and then one of the things I had to pick up at Home Depot on the way to the track was some Velcro. So I brought the Velcro, and then I got there, and Joe, who's super smart and like a genius with this like streaming telemetry stuff and all that, he's in charge of like the comms and the telemetry and all that, and he had mounted some stuff right where my shroud was supposed to go, and I was like, well, I guess that's not going to work then.
They're like, all right, Ian, next the team needs you to make one of those turkeys with your hand on a paper plate.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like pat my head. Good job, buddy.
No, but this is one of the things that I absolutely love about like endurance racing, right? Because it kind of speaks to all of those roles that are best or that are filled, and like just as part of a crew, a driver, like all of this wonderful stuff that I think like makes up like the race team, and like you telling people when to go to sleep, and like you having the intelligence to consider that one of the elements that needs to be managed, right?
Right.
And then like you get to go pass out in the back of a RAV4 where you don't have to think about shit, right? Like, yeah, everything is just taken care of for you, right?
Right.
Well,
and and that from the time I like got in the car during the overnight stint till I got out of the car and through the next stint, I was like on.
Right.
So I was like, helping with fuel, and we were like actively managing quite a lot of things, and all that sort of stuff. And I was in my race suit the whole time. It was already starting to get hot out, as we approached noon. And so when we got the last driver in the car, I was finally like, you know what, I'm going to go change. I'll be a minute. So I went into the car and fully intending to just like change and get out. And I like laid down, I like got my race suit off, laid down to check my phone, and fucking conked out. And slept for like a half hour, 45 minutes or something.
Okay.
But yeah, because it was just like out of my hands. There's nothing I can do.
Right.
The last driver's in the car.
Right. Whatever's going to happen, right?
Right. And then, there's nothing we're going to be able to do about it. So, we're not going to fuel anything. We're not going to fuel anymore. So I don't need to worry about that. And I can just like relax a little bit. And so I just like fell asleep, got a like nice refreshing little nap, and then went back for the finish.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. So 13th overall, third in your class, index of affluency under your belt.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man. I'm really proud of you.
Yeah, it was really fun, and I can't wait. I think we're going to try to have Brian on, the team owner.
Definitely.
The trials and tribulations with the truck and the mechanical stuff is really, really interesting. And also, I hope I get to stick with this team a little bit, because I think it'd be fun to grow with them a little bit.
Yeah.
I felt like I drove better than I have in a while with them.
Okay. And it gives you like when you have people that are faster than you have the ability to drive up, right?
Right.
You always want to be around those people that are at a level beyond you to help you get there, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like I was really like, like crazy out
Like,
of reach.
yeah, like that disparity wasn't too big, right?
Right, because in hindsight, the truck was only getting slower.
Right.
As we went along. So, I wasn't like completely like crazy off the pace or anything, which was nice.
Right.
I did I think my fastest time was like a 2:27.
That's awesome, man. That's great.
Yes, and I think the two other main guys, Brian and Joe, I think they were in like the 2:20, mid 2:20s most of the time. I think Joe popped in like a 2:21 or something.
Great.
But yeah, so yeah, and then Radek was the fifth driver, and this was his first 24-hour, first time driving the truck, first time wheel to wheel.
Oh wow, okay.
And first time driving at night.
Wow, boy, just getting all the first done at once.
And the first track, like he's a rally driver, so he'd never driven proper racetrack before. So
right, yeah.
He had a lot to manage.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow. Wow, man. Right on.
Yeah.
So like when the race was wrapping up, like you guys get the truck back in the trailer, like you guys are all about to go your separate ways, right? Like, like everything's kind of shutting down. You're walking back to the parking lot and you see that RAV4 there that's going to take you home. Like, give me what's going through your mind.
I mean, honestly, it's just I'm excited to go to sleep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was excited to have a car that had like cruise control and like real cruise control,
right? And
air conditioned seats,
yeah,
and all that, because you get done and it's a big adrenaline crash,
Yep.
Especially you got like another boost from getting like IOE and the awards and everything, and so it's another big like kind of up and down. So it was nice to just have something beige in my life to just like kind of even it all out a little bit.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes it's good to be pedestrian, right?
Yeah. No, it was exactly what I needed. It was nice, and the air conditioning seats was super, super important.
Nice. Good sound system too. Yeah, the JBL sound system is
really not bad.
Pretty punchy. Yeah.
It gets let down by that infotainment system, but the actual sound is great.
Yeah, for sure. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice, man. Well, I'm really proud of you, and I'm really thankful that Drive Shop and Toyota gave us the opportunity to spend some time with this car. And I couldn't be prouder of your performance out there, man. You did a great job. Yeah, I'm looking forward to crewing as soon as possible. Yeah.
And I was really happy with how I was in traffic and stuff. Traffic just felt fine. Like I didn't really get too jumpy or nervous. I think it helps that the speeds are a little slower at Lemons.
Right. Sure.
Than the last race I did. So it was fun. It was just so much fun.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, well, somebody, speaking of sleepy time, you need to get to bed. I need to get to bed. Right? We've had quite a time. They're taking the Toyota away from me tomorrow, and they're replacing it with the Mazda Miata. So we're going to have some new adventures with that car.
Yep.
Right? Yeah, but you know what? I'm going to miss the acceleration and kind of the punchiness of the RAV4. I think that's what I'm going to miss. Yeah,
again, I think it's we're getting hopefully some time with the Jeep in a little bit too. The Fluency, the electric motor, the addition of an electric motor, I've really come around on the plug-in hybrid thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that it makes things make sense that didn't make sense before.
You're exactly right. I had that. My epiphany was driving the Chrysler Pacifica hybrid, the plug-in hybrid. When that battery was charged up, I was like, oh shit, I get it. Yeah. Right? This changes it. Right?
It does. It really does. And it doesn't, I think on paper it's easy. You look at it and you say a 40 miles of range, that's nothing. And to some extent that's true, but it really still does change the way it drives completely. Sometimes for good, and sometimes mostly for good, but sometimes also for bad. Like I think the braking stuff is a little weird on a lot of these cars.
Sure.
But it really does makes more sense than it would otherwise.
Right.
Like there's no reason really that anyone needs this crossover.
Right. Right.
Especially, with a luxurious small crossover is really silly.
Right. It is.
But I think with the hybrid piece, it does make sense. Like
it does, right? Way more than it does without it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not entirely sure I understand why, but yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I will say one funny thing at the Lemons race is Brian. I had moved the car. We were like the last people out of the paddock because we were all like just amazed that we won.
Sure.
IOE and stuff. So we were like packing everything up, and I moved the car over to get all my junk out of the paddock.
Yeah.
And I put it in reverse, and it makes that crazy sound.
Yeah, the weird spaceship. Yeah. Whoa. Yeah.
The like pedestrian warning sound.
Yeah.
And I got out of the car, and he was like, "Are you aware of the crazy shit that your car does when you put it in reverse?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know. It's a brilliant strategy to make sure that pedestrians know there's a car coming by making a sound that sounds nothing like a car."
Right. Yeah, right. You're more likely to have them look up, like if something like a spaceship is flying above them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
right.
than to have them like be aware of their surroundings. Yeah,
it's very bizarre, but
right. Yeah.
So there's like little weird things about it, but overall, I get it much more than I do the RAV4 in its normal guise.
Right, for sure. Yeah. Nice, man. Nice. Well, yeah, like I said, I'm very thankful for Toyota and Drive Shop giving us the car for a week.
Yes.
And because I think it provided good contrast to your Lemons experience, and I think that makes it even more like the Lemons experience more Lemonsy and the RAV4 more RAV4y,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's a serendipitous time for those two things to coincide. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Nice, man. Nice. Well, right on. Yeah. So absolutely. Tell your friends and subscribe to us on YouTube, right?
Yes.
Yes, leave us a review on iTunes. If you liked this type of episode where we kind of dive into one specific car and maybe some experiences around it or some things that happened while we had it, let us know. We'd love to hear it. This is kind of like our first episode like this, so we'd like to hear what you think. So yeah. If you
send us a text, a picture of things that you see, or you can even leave us a voicemail at 720-515-1391.
That's right. Yeah.
Email us at apexadjacent@gmail.com, and we're on the media's social things.
Yep. Give us the tweets. Yep. Send us the weird vanity plates. And we're gonna do just fine. I have some that I cannot wait to show you. So yeah. Until next time. Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Okay, we love you, everyone. Goodbye.